Yeah, perfect. So together with my fellow panelists here on stage, we are really pleased to welcome you for our roundtable on a new blockchain platform for small and medium enterprise in Europe. I am Thibaud de Maintenant. I have been in the post-trade area for 20 years, and I am your moderator for this session. So today on the panel, we have representatives from all the 7 institutions that have been working for months on the SME blockchain initiative. So starting from your left to your right, we have Anthony ATTIA, CEO, Euronext Paris and Global Head of Listing. Jean-François ABADIE, CEO, Groupe CACEIS. Nadia FILALI, Head of Blockchain Programs and LabChain, Caisse des Dépôts. Jean-Pierre GRIMAUD, S2IEM, CEO, OFI Asset Management. Sébastien NUNES, Head of Venture Catalyst, BNP Paribas Securities Services. Sébastien CACEIS, Head of ESES Market Advocacy, Euroclear. Guillaume Hérault, Global Head of Marketing, Société Générale Securities Services. And Guillaume, I think you have a train to catch, so you might leave us before the end. So today is a turning point for the SME blockchain initiative. Till this morning, 10 a.m., we can officially reveal that the 7 institutions have created a new independent startup called LiquidShare, and that I've been appointed as the CEO of this new fintech venture. Given the ongoing support of Paris Europlace on this initiative, we are very happy to launch LiquidShare on the first day of the conference. The mission of LiquidShare and my mission as a CEO on this, supported by the 7 shareholders, is to develop a post-trading platform for SMEs in Europe. All of us on stage are very excited to share the first day of existence of the company. And I'm now turning to the panel of the 7 shareholders to tell us more about the creation of LiquidShare. So I will start with Anthony. Anthony, you've been at the heart of this initiative since day one, and you're the chairman of the board of LiquidShare. Can you give us the macro view leading to such a decision?
Thank you, Thibaud. I think speaking for the group, we're very happy that this startup has been launched. It's been more than a year of work with a consortium, and it's a collective effort. And so this is one of the projects where the different actors composing the ecosystem of the financial markets decided to jointly incubate innovation and look at the changes that technology disruption can bring to our businesses and our market in a kind of a collective way. So I think this is rare enough to be noted, and I really want to commend that part. A few words about blockchain. I mean, we talk about blockchain almost every day, and last year was like an intense year where everyone was launching their project, their proof of concept, their group of definition of norms, and there was a mix between Bitcoin and blockchain. So before you guys start to say, hey, there's yet another blockchain announcement, the important part of this initiative is actually not blockchain, is the fact that we want to collectively be at the head of the transformation into the post-trade world, and that we want to position the company as a European company, taking the lead for Europe in the transformation that blockchain is going to bring. And so the observation that we all made last year was the following. Yes, Bitcoin is often seen as a currency escaping regulation, and with a lot of bad things happening around this dark aspect. But yet, what we see today is that Bitcoin exchanges have grown significantly, and the numbers are very impressive. And if you mix the Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, the trading is around 2,600. I think it's 2,600,000 millions of value exchange every day. So it's more than double compared to last year. Also, we see that some of the initiatives that were launched last year have been stabilized, and we have breakthrough companies like Ethereum which are now part of the landscape, and they are starting to provide services. We see companies in the US like Digital Asset that are making their project quite concrete, and in particular with the Australian Securities Exchange. And so the view that we had last year is to say, well, there is a potential for disruption within blockchain. There is no way we can each of us do this separately, because by definition blockchain is about collective work and collective movement. So let's just sit together and see if we can take the high road, like the Americans say, and look at the way we can build something together. So we decided to look at post-trade because it makes absolute sense that clearing, settlement, share register, relationship with issuers will be disrupted by blockchain. So let's try to understand what it means and how it impacts our respective value chain. Second, we decided to look at SMEs and listed SMEs in particular, because this is the CMU. This is what we discussed this morning with the European Commission and the panelists. We need to provide our SMEs and our investors at the level of Europe with a harmonized way of settling the trades, clearing them, and making sure that the borders between countries are not relevant from that point of view. So this is a general idea. So we think our initiative has the potential to lower trading costs and of course post-trade costs. We also think it has the potential to attract SMEs onto capital market at the level of Europe. We know it's going to be a really hard work ahead, but yet we want to incubate innovation together. So this is what the initiative is about.
Thank you, Anthony. Jean-François, one question for you. You've been joining the initiative quite recently, a few months ago. Can you explain why have you been taken that decision?
Yes. Well, Thibaud, you're right in mentioning that we're a rather late joiner. I'm afraid the responsibility is largely mine, as I must admit that when I took over as a CACEIS CEO last year, liquid share was not on the very top of my priorities. But then when I had a chance to go through the file, it became pretty obvious that this investment prospect had a lot of success, was combining a lot of success factors. And out of those success factors, I'd like to comment on the three main ones, in my opinion. The first one is a very strong backing as shareholders of diversified and influential actors of the value chain. The first one is the market, with the presence of Euronext. Of course, you have a number of important actors of the post-market business, with Euroclear, BNP, SocGen, and now ourselves. You have a representative of a potential client with S2IEM, and of course the backing of the Paris marketplace with Paris Europlace. And this is a very important asset. In second order, it was pretty obvious that it was a very business-driven initiative. It is not a mere proof of concept. It is a real business initiative, and this is demonstrated by, in my opinion, by three factors. First one is that is the substantial financial means that have been brought in by the shareholders. It is not just a test. I mean, you can venture this type of money if you're not serious about it. And the second one is the ambition and the clarity of the business prospect, of the results which are expected from the company. It is ambitious, but in our opinion, it's feasible. And of course, it is an important element. And the third one, if you allow me, Thibaud, is the selection of the CEO of the company, who has, at the same time, the business experience, the ability to embody the entrepreneurial spirit, which is absolutely essential in this type of venture, and finally, a good technical background. So this was our second element of decision. The third one was the good match between the business, in our opinion, between the business model and the technology of blockchain. Good match because basically the blockchain is going to be used for its primary purpose. It is a centralized and secure ledger that will allow all parties security of treatment and quick access to the relevant information, and hopefully quick execution, but we'll see that in time. But I mean, the blockchain is not a sacred cow. It is clear that if, for some purposes, other technologies appear to be more efficient, they might be used, and they hopefully be used. So, to sum up, if you pile up a consortium approach with a very strong backing, with adequate financial means, no competition of an existing marketplace, and a very clear structure to approach this venture, in our opinion, it's bound to be a success.
Thanks, Jean-François. Nadia, now turning on to you, maybe two questions for you. Is really blockchain, you've been on the blockchain front for a very long time. Is blockchain really ready for such an initiative? And as well, do you see the link with the capital growth for SMEs?
Blockchain exists since 2008, and we know all blockchain about Bitcoin, Ethereum, like this, and we know all the pain points about blockchain: performance, governance, transparency, confidentiality of transaction. But what we are talking about now is about launching a permissioned blockchain, and all those points on the public blockchain are not in fact the same, and they are less existing on that. And I think it's a very good moment for this project, because we all in our company, in our respective company, do experimentation, POCs, and now this year is the year of how to go to industrialization of the blockchain. We know that the major company on technical, like IBM, Microsoft, and Dell, and others are working on this technology. Anthony told about the project in other countries, and there is like we have to go ahead on that, and to try to be the first in Europe to make this project a reality, and not only an ultimate POC, I think.
It's not a POC, it's about production and being in production soon.
So we are in the good time, and we are in the real perspective of the blockchain. We are all around this table. Blockchain is a decentralized technology, so we have to collaborate on it. And there is a real perspective to create a marketplace between us, even if we are operator, investors, or others like regulators and all. And for the second part, we, Caisse des Dépôts, are an institutional investor, and we have a particularity that we are here to help the company to grow and to find capital. And we think that after have launched LabChain and make experiment on that, we have to go in the project of liquid share, because the high growth company are all struggling to access on equity market and capital, especially in innovative firm. And if we create, if we use the most famous use case of blockchain in a marketplace where the different actors can meet, and if we imagine that we can be more than 7 actors on the platform, because we are investor, but there is a participant of the platform will be not even 7. You can make meet the investors, the issuer, the regulator, and the operator in the same platform, in the same marketplace, and it will help to optimize the access to capital for a company. It will help in the process, because today the process is not very efficient. It's not STP, and there is many paper application on this part of equity. And if the fact that we can also make the transaction more easy and more quick, it will be very efficient for all. And for the issuer, they will know very easily who are the stakeholders of their equity. We think that they will pay less for the access of the market, and we can imagine that we can have also a better visibility on them, and we hope, I think, together here, that the liquid share will be a very attractive place for innovative SMEs, because there is today a lot of company in the technical market or in fintech and others who wants to grow up, and we hope that we help them to grow up.
Thanks, Nadia, for this nice summary on where is the blockchain technology and why it's helping the SME for access to capital. Jean-Pierre, now turning on to you. You are on the buy side, and obviously we are very pleased to have effectively all the participants in the value chain. But why is the buy side interested into infrastructure?
I think it's we have to come back in the past few minutes, and if everybody remember in this room what's happening in 2008 when we had the bankruptcy of Lehman, and nobody cares before the bankruptcy of Lehman of the post-trade operation, because it was obvious that there was at least not a lot of risk. But when it's happened, everybody realized that in fact, beside the market risk and other risk, operational risk are even more important, because you can lose everything. You can lose your security, you can lose your cash, whatever. So at that time, investors realize that they have to take care about this type of risk. And for those who remember that time, we had, just after this big event, we had a lot of information session related to what happened in the post-trade operation. And with a group of investors, we decided to set up a fund, and in order to be part of this type of operations, and we did that through this fund. And why we did that also because we realized that the law where you trade, the law where your security are based, it's very different when you are in continental Europe or where you are in the Anglo-Saxon world. And due to that, everybody at that time on the investors part realized the importance of the role of the CCPs and the CSDs. And today it's even more important due to what is happening with Brexit. We already have some session this morning related to that, so I will not come back on that. So this was the idea why the buy side is taking care about this the post trade. And coming back to the blockchain and why we decided to participate to this initiative, it's linked to the fact that we saw in this new technology perhaps something which is making the market moving also in this type of operation. And by, as it was already mentioned, by reducing the value chain between the issuers and the investors, in the way that we can also have more security in the trade, and to reduce the time between the fact that you are buying and the fact that you are paying something, or the other way around. So we see here in respect with this technology a lot of opportunity, but and this is why we decided to participate and support from the beginning these initiatives. I remember the long discussion we had with Anthony on the top of that, and to put everybody around the table. And at the end of the day, we are very proud to have this initiative in live now, and we are very proud to be part of this company, Liquid Share. And you can be sure that the investor world will support that, and we also act concretely in this company and in the setup of this operational company.
Thank you, Jean-Pierre, for that. Sébastien, you are from BNP Paribas Securities Services. Can you tell us more about the implication for custodian with a blockchain?
Okay. You know that in Taoism we say that there is no need to push the river. You need to go with the flow. And basically that's what we have in mind when we started to work on blockchain. We see a massive flow of new technology coming. We saw lots of money invested in this technology, a lot of players launching projects. So we thought that, well, something will come out of this investment that is being done. So and for us it's still an emerging technology, still to be tested, validated, still to be more mature. But we think that there is a great potential. And BNP Paribas is one of the players who invested in blockchain. But we think that this may be applied to some use cases where you still have a room for optimization. If you look at the traditional workflow, we think that there is a certain level of maturity and optimization efficiency. But there is still some use cases when you can apply this technology. On our side, we invested in non-listed securities, on fund distribution as well, and we'll have more use cases to come. And when we talk about efficiencies, optimization, it's really linked to the quality of service for the clients. So that's for us, we think that's something, it's a major step, it's a major game changer for those use cases. We are convinced that we need to invest in this technology, to jump in this technology, and I think BNP Paribas is one of the custodians, but we have here CACEIS and Société Générale, and I think if we are all together in this project, we think that we have the same analysis, so that's something important. And we see it as a way to generate more opportunities. As I said, there are several use cases that before it was very difficult for us to target. But now, thanks to this technology, we will be able to target it. So it's more business opportunities, more revenues. It's a good opportunity for us as well to reinvent a little bit the ecosystem and the way the value chain is structured. So typically that's what we are doing here. So we are putting all together different people from the ecosystem, the current and existing ecosystem, but we can think tomorrow to onboard new players of the ecosystem, specifically the startups. So it's a new way of building a new way of working together. So it's new space for collaboration. And then we think that the role for the custodian will be reinforced. Anthony gave through a few elements on the increasing business and cryptocurrencies and ICOs, etc. So we start to have some demand from clients to be able to do the custody and safekeeping for those kind of assets. So it's new business for us as well. You still need to have an aggregator of the positions of the clients from all the, I would say, the conventional assets and those new kind of digital assets. So you need to have someone be able to do the aggregation of the different type of assets. And unless you're this kind of infrastructure are plugged to the central bank, you still need to have a clearing bank. So for us, there is still something to play for us. So for us, it's opportunities. And basically, if we look at Liquid Share, that's a project that is ticking all these boxes. So for us, it really makes sense to be part of this initiative.
Thanks, Sébastien. Now let's turn on to you, Sébastien, for Euroclear. How do you see the technology? How disruptive could that be for your business model?
Thank you. It's true that the disruptive word has been rediscovered with the introduction of the blockchain technology, because it is always presented as either disruptive or disruptive. It seems that we have no choice for market infrastructure or intermediary to escape that disruption. But I think it is interesting to put things into perspective, because in the history of the post-trade industry, we have already managed such evolution likely to bring disruption, if we want to use that word. And two concrete examples. T2S first. Currently, the post-trade industry is transforming with T2S, which is in a certain way there is a disruption dimension, because it is a transfer of 30% of the activity of CSD to a pan-European settlement infrastructure. So it's not nothing, but T2S is coming with more efficiency and also with opportunities for market infrastructure, CSD, and also intermediaries. The other example is, which is far away, and I wasn't part of it, was a dematerialization in France. More than 30 years ago. I'm sure that at that time, the dematerialization was perceived as really disruptive, moving from physical securities to dematerialized securities. But more than 30 years after, your girlfriend is still alive, even bigger. So probably more opportunities than threats at that time. So I'm just saying here that the DLT is just a new element, likely to bring further transformation in the industry, coming with potential efficiency, as you said, with its threats, but also and potentially even more opportunities for market players. And two examples for Euroclear. We believe that it is an opportunity to be part of Liquid Share, because it is an opportunity for us to play a role in a larger scope of securities, because we are going to cover unlisted securities. We have another initiative in London, where we are developing an infrastructure for the billion market. So far, it's mainly new opportunities. So at least at Euroclear, but I think that the approach at the industry level, the important thing to do today is to embrace the technology and to drive the change, if the change will happen in the future with the integration of that new technology. So at the level of the industry, would the DLT be adopted in the future massively by the industry? We also think that market infrastructure intermediaries will continue to play a role because we'll be able to find our value in the new operational chain. Because we think we are talking a specific industry. We are talking about the stability of financial markets. We are also potentially talking about mainly private blockchain for capital markets. Probably they won't be public. And that's the reason why we believe, yes, we might have a disruption dimension, but we still believe that the intermediaries and market infrastructure will find a room in this new environment.
Thanks, Sébastien. Now let me turn to you, Guillaume. One question in terms of operation. What type of efficiency do you think blockchain can bring?
In fact, I think that everybody agrees on the idea that blockchain could dramatically simplify market organizations, reduce intermediaries' needs, and therefore increase operational efficiencies. In fact, it is just a matter of setting up the right conditions to make it possible, as we all know that blockchain is not only a mean to improve existing organization, but rather a brand new way of considering this organization. At SocGen, we completely share the view which have been expressed in this panel that liquid share initiative gathers the best parameters to test the benefits of a DLT on operational organizations. And consequently, we really believe on the success of this initiative. As it has been said, all the largest actors of the marketplace are around the table, which is really important in order to give the sufficient scale to afford the DLT to really demonstrate its value. We also think that it's important that we share the same, that we could all agree upon similar rules and standards of process as opposed to a completely open and potentially anarchic system. So I think that it's two conditions that is very important for this success. So now, this have been said, we really believe that we have the ideal conditions to measure the benefits which are commonly associated to DLT. So I will not elaborate too much on this. We all believe that all these DLT organization could really provide a large enhancement in terms of reduction of costs, thanks to process improvement, automation of manual tasks, reconciliation, reduction, corporate actions, industrialization, all of this. Counterparty risk limitation is also an objective which is targeted thanks to the reduced settlements timeline, less settlement fails hopefully, and it should also impact the need for collateral. Third, security enhancement are also something which is expected as it shortens the need for recovery plans, since the record will be kept in several places at the same time. Full access to supervisory authorities to the information stored on the ledgers will also be permitted by this kind of organization. all those sort of benefits which can only be measured on a sufficiently large perimeter of operation and with a sufficiently broad universe of counterparties to really make the comparison possible with our existing organization. So this project will also have to deal with new challenges, which will have large impact on operational organization, processes, and of course on the efficiency of not only the marketplace as a whole, but also our own individual organization. So the legal framework for sure, with which defines the relation among participants, applicable laws in the case we will welcome institution not French, and the transfer and recording of ownership, which is of course key in all these processes. Investigate links with pre-trade process and executions are also key factors to, in fact, reach a new step in settlement fail avoidance. Enhance pre-trade information and perform a verification of ownership before the trade would be, in that matter, completely instrumental. And it also will have other benefits than reducing the settlement period and reduce counterparty risk at the same time. Finally, relation with issuers, link and reporting to give them the opportunity to share the same real-time process of operation and data are also a challenge that we will have also to face in this initiative. So, finally, this initiative is very important for all of us. It's also very important for institutions like Société Générale Securities Services, as it is really a good opportunity to study middle and back office evolution with a disruptive approach. We have the possibility using this DLT initiative to imagine new models that would prevent fail, that will also allow same-day settlement, an easier collection of data, a better sharing of this data among all the participants and also our clients. The management of cash position associated to the DVP process, which still have to be framed, will also be absolutely instrumental to open new horizons in the back office organization and in the monitoring of our risk. At the end, Liquid Chair, this initiative really opens new doors for operational efficiency, but it will not only a matter of efficiency, it will also probably, as it has been said by Sébastien, change the role of custodians and banks, and we will have to redefine our positioning in this value chain. It will also create new opportunities to accommodate new services to our clients, which all in all is a very exciting perspective. So join me in wishing long and prosperous days to Liquid Chair.
Thanks, Guillaume. Very impressive to see that all of us on the value chain here are very excited about the launch, and the fact as well that we are on the front foot and want effectively to, being part of this adventure and being the first one to be on production. It's not about a POC, it's not about a test. We are starting to be in real life here, so really pleased to do that on the first day and to share that with the audience. Maybe it's time to go for the Q&A. So I think we have a mic in the room. So if someone wants to start a question. Is there a mic or? It's coming, it's coming.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I have one question with regards to competition. Do you have any competition, and who are they?
So I think there are many competitors in the frame right now. You have many companies, and some of them have been named by Anthony, which effectively are, providing or starting to provide blockchain for settlement in the security space. But I think here we're coming from a very different angles, because we are coming from the value chain itself. And here today you have all the parties in the value chain. And before diving into technology, we are going to dive first on the design. So the vision we have is not about tweaking something here and there. The vision we have is very different. It's really to re-architecture the full ecosystem. So it's quite ambitious in that respect. And then when we'll have defined that part, then we'll go more into the technology space. So I think yes, we have competition, but it's different nature. And the good news is that if you don't have competition, you have a problem. So we have competition, so we are in the right field. So we are very pleased about that, I'm sure. Anthony, you want to comment as well?
Yeah, if I may add something. When you look at all these initiatives on blockchain, you have so many. A lot of them are about providing IT solutions, which are blockchain implementations in order to, to provide technology and services to actors, industrial actors. We're not at all in that field. Other initiatives are about defining the standard and the norm, and try to box the blockchain evolution and to take the lead into defining what it's going to look like, with in mind, of course, to make business at the end and provide consulting, etc. This is not at all what we do. So we have no one from a consulting firm. We have no one selling technology here. We have people, as Thibaud rightly said, from the value chain. The reason why it's important that we're here today in the Europlast conference is the Place de Paris has some assets, strong ones, and briefly talked about that during lunch. So we're pretty good in France to in the custodian field. We have people like CACEIS, BP2S, SG Securities Services. They're not only French players; they are international players. Euroclear and Euronext are European players by essence, and so we have all these strengths here, and we have, of course, a very strong pool of asset managers and buy side. So we have all these strengths here. We're not very strong into OTC derivative or things like that, but we're pretty good on the field of capital and equity markets. And so we believe it's up to us to take the lead on the transformation and look at it together, because that's gonna continue giving the community here an edge, and lead what's going to happen with capital market in the futures. So this is what we're talking about. So if we look at competition from that particular angle, we don't believe we have any, by the way.
Any more question? One question here.
Thank you and congratulations for the lunch. Two very practical questions. What is the funding of the project? Another question, when will be starting to finance the first company? And the third one is about, you're putting together a marketplace, but market is about trading, it's also about information. So what are you expecting, or what are you launching in order to get, for the financiers, more information about the assets, about the companies that will trade under your platform?
So in terms of the investment, all the stakeholders are investing the same amount, and here we are talking about millions, even if now we are not disclosing the exact amount, so it's real money. That's your first question. The second question was, sorry, I was lost on all the question. I'm sorry. I think there was something around the first time when we were going to finance a company. I think on this one, look, I think if we were to look at where we are on the project, okay, it's almost like building a house. So we have the vision, we have the drawing, but we have not yet the plan. So the first thing is to really go into details about the plan, how we're going to re-architecture what type of technology are we going to use? And then later we can really say, what is the time for us to be live. We hope to have a lot of good news, next year. But we are more on a time frame horizon about 2 or 3 years. It's about infrastructure. So infrastructure is not something that you can build overnight, especially when you want to re-architecture. And then there was a lot of impact, not only to build the product itself or to build infrastructure, but as well for all the parties in the value chain. So I think it's 2 questions out of 5. I'm missing 3 now.
Yeah. So on the trading plus data chain. So this is about post-trading before being about trading, but you need transactions. So this is also why Euronext is part of this group. Is we believe that there need to be alternative way to manage post trading, and we're ready to commit flow. On the data part, there are plenty of things to be discussed there, but maybe some of my colleagues want to comment. Yeah.
On information, Anthony told about that we are looking on all the process of the use case. So we will imagine something using all the information we can use, and we will use all the information we can use. So if we want, and if we can provide more information for the issuer, and I think it's very important for them to have good information and have transparency or their stakeholders and other things, we will innovate and provide new services that don't exist today. I think the blockchain, it's not had to be seen, and it's a little bit an answer for the first question, like a technological project, but like the philosophy of the project of blockchain. Blockchain is here to decentralize some parts, not to disintermediate all. I think it's not true, and it's quite a dream. It's not the reality. And there is new services to imagine of that. Blockchain is a very good technology for collaboration and collaborative innovating economy. So we have to project us in a new kind of process, even on securities market, and not only on energy, on others. I know, I know that you're working on that, but and it's very important. So, for example, it's a good opportunity to send information for the regulator, for example, because it will be transparent and it can keep the information directly on the ledger. And on one ledger and one distributed ledger. That's not the case today. We have all of us in different way to provide information to the regulators. For example, it's a kind of things we can do after that.
Yeah, and maybe one more example is really, if you look at the way we operate today in the industry, there is something which is quite shocking, is if you look at the blue chips, a lot of them are not able to really know who are their shareholder base. And you ask yourself, well, what is the reason? I mean, we are dematerialized, everything is in a digital form. The reason is because there are so many intermediaries that the information gets lost somewhere. And very often, investors just receive, once a year, a big envelope with a lot of things for the investment, but there is no real link here. So one of the goals here is to really reduce that part and to bring much closer the corporate and their investor base. Another question on the back, in the back, sorry.
No, you have the sell side. I have a question. Is it a paradise for hackers and cybersecurity? What do you think about that?
Nadia, maybe you take this one.
If I can, I will do in French, okay? Sorry. En français, parce que ça c'est une question qu'on nous pose systématiquement. S'il y en a qui ne parlent pas français, j'essaierai en anglais. Aujourd'hui, on n'a pas interdit la construction des voitures parce qu'il y a des gens qui utilisent les voitures comme voitures béliers. Donc c'est important, c'est-à-dire que quoi qu'on fasse, quelle que soit la technologie qu'on va développer, il y a toujours quelqu'un pour chercher la faille et l'utiliser. Et c'est vrai aujourd'hui sur la carte bleue et ça peut être vrai sur blockchain. the technology of blockchain is not anonym one, it's pseudonym one. And today on the highway, there is no accident, even if in Bitcoin. There is accident in the entrance and the end of blockchain and the way out, but not inside. And we are not talking about public blockchain, but about the consortium blockchain and permissioned blockchain. So in fact, it will be very secure and more secure than other technology.
And I don't know if you noticed, but we didn't talk about the regulated or non-regulated quality of our initiative because we do not intend to change this part. And so we will work with the regulators, supervisors, treasury, to make sure that the supervision environment is being adapted to the new blockchain world in order for the different bodies, authorities to continue performing their work. So this is not going to change, and so we are not talking about a kind of like a Wild West or North Korea, the computers encrypting the transactions. And it is not at all that. It's just long-awaited transformation of a part of the trading and clearing and settlement value chain that has been performing basically the same way for dozens of years. Now it's gonna have to evolve, and this is just what we're talking about here. I mean, it's really a lot, right?
And if I may, I would like also to come back to what Sébastien was mentioning before. We are here in the same pace from when we went from the paper securities. It was not so far from here. It was 30 years ago. Securities were just a paper, and when you buy a security, you exchange paper again money. And we go through the dematerialization, and it was a big revolution at that time. And today we think all together around this table that we are somewhere in the same pace in terms of evolution. And this is what we want to build all together and to be part of this evolution, not to be on the backside.
One more question is there a question here at the front? Yes.
I'm not a specialist of blockchain, but I guess that, as you guys know very well, this is about bringing what someone else know, meaning that it's a kind of exchange of information here. My main question is, what is new, what your platform is bringing, which could be very new for corporations? Because the main issue, we work with corporations based in Asia, based in North America, especially in Canada. And the thing is, when blockchain is not about currency, there is less expectations. So my question is, what are you looking to achieve through your platform?
So I think what we are saying is that effectively blockchain, the first case of blockchain, are more designed for an asset class like cryptocurrency. But when you look at a cryptocurrency transfer, it's just a debit and a credit, a transfer of ownership between two individuals. And here actually we're talking exactly about the same thing, because it's a transfer ownership, it's a debit and a credit, but it's not a cryptocurrency, it's a security. So it's really a very natural evolution and a very good case. That's why we are all on the value chain very convinced, and that's why people are investing into that, is because it makes a lot of sense. We are talking about OTC derivative, for example. Well, good luck to put OTC derivatives on blockchain, because what you're trying to achieve is something extremely different. So what is new is then suddenly you can realize things like you could never do before. First of all is, how often have you been the full value chain together? It's one of the first achievements of blockchain, I think, is really to push for cooperation. And I think as an industry, cooperation is key. We know that finance, need as well to prove that they can do things really well for individuals. And here, one of the key objectives is really to, as a full industry, to be able to solve one of the big issues around the link between the corporate and their shareholder, which today is not smooth. And you very often have issue during voting where you receive the vote at the very last minute, not to say sometimes that the vote are not coming, and a lot of stress around that. So if I were to name one, I would go for the individualization of the relationship between the shareholder and the corporate, starting with the SME. Two more questions. Fantastic.
And just to
3 questions. Okay, sorry.
To add, I think blockchain is built for the property transfer. When you transfer Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency on a blockchain, what you are following on the blockchain is not the transaction, it's the support of the transaction, it's the cryptocurrency. Our matter here, altogether, it's the traceability of the security and the transfer of the property of this security. And blockchain is very an ideal technology for that. It's created for that. It's the aim of blockchain. I agree it's not cryptocurrency, the subject here, but it's the same philosophy on that.
So I think we have some more questions. Good, you have a mic.
Hi, thank you for a presentation. I'm fully aware of the value of the blockchain technology in the financial world. I'm just wondering, you are talking about the SMEs and you were talking about corporations. Both were mentioned during the talk. I'm just wondering, given the fact that the SME financing landscape is rather fragmented in France or even in Europe, wouldn't it be easier to start with the blue chip and the big corporations instead of the SMEs?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure because today blue chips enjoy the role of the clearinghouse, where you stay 2 days in the clearinghouse before you get settled, because you have the netting effect, and the netting effect provide significant cost reduction on the overall chain. So when you look at SMEs today, we have several challenges. The first one is it costs the same amount of money to trade an SME compared to the cost of trading your blue chips. Sometimes it's even more expensive because you don't have the netting effect. So this is not normal. This is not fair. I mean, SME trading should be less expensive, right? Yeah, so on listed equities on Euronext, for instance, you spend 2 days between the moment the transaction is executed on the exchange and the moment where it's settled. These 2 days in the clearinghouse, a lot of things happen, but you have the netting where if you are on the buy side and the sell side as a broker, you net the amount of transaction and then you execute on the net instruction. So this provides efficiencies, right? You don't have this type of efficiency for less liquid asset classes. SMEs or fixed income or funds are part of them. And so we believe that we need to work on that front first in order to improve the overall efficiencies and hence reduce liquidity, increase liquidity. Sorry, and so SME access to capital market is part of our priorities. This has been discussed this morning with Capital Market Union. So we need to increase liquidity, we need to reduce the cost, and we need to make it very, very European and have no different from one country to another. So this is what we're talking about here in reality.
And to add one point as well is the fact that when you are into the blue chip space, you have a lot of actors who are really, very fast. I mean, we're talking sometimes about nanosecond or stuff like that, which are, low latency. So here the volume is extremely fast. In the transfer of ownership, we are more talking about 1 day, 2 days type. So if you start with a very high volume, low latency market, we're not too sure the blockchain technology is yet ready for it. Probably need more iteration and Nadia was talking about the question around scalability and ability to really process very high number of transactions on a very short period of time. So that's one more reason as well. Do we have other questions? Perfect. One more.
Hello, thank you for the presentation. So you talked about individual targets that the blockchain could help use to reach, such as increase cybersecurity or increase efficiency. But what's the main vision, where do you see the marketplace in 5 years by using blockchain technology?
I think if I were to make a comparison, I think we can go back maybe 10 years or maybe 15, I don't remember, where we're looking at the stock exchange worlds, and pretty much every country are this national stock exchange. And a lot of new entrants were coming in, trying to effectively challenge what was seen as a monopoly. And the situation now where you have effectively still a national stock exchange, and in a different way, with a lot of merger acquisitions. So they are no more national; they are either European or global. And you have as well the new entrants which have made their way. So in 5 years, I think it's going to be a combination of both. You would have probably a lower price. You would have the highway for the blue chip on the existing infrastructure, and you probably would have more the SME type of asset class, and other asset class, maybe funds as well, who will take the benefit of the blockchain.
If I may bring in an asset service point of view, I fully subscribe with what Anthony was mentioning. It's highly likely then that blockchain technologies will develop on markets which associate relatively low volumes and complexity of information. I mean, on a 5-year term, on markets which are already very efficient and means dealing with very high volumes like currencies, like blue chips and so on. It's much less likely, if only because we'll need to have time to test the scalability of the system. And if this was the solution to readjust all the clearing chains that have been developed over time by the different actors. So on a short period of time, that's where we see the future of the blockchain, but it's already a fairly important chunk of the business, and also an opportunity to provide new services to areas of the financial world which are not very well cared for.
Really pleased with the interaction. We still have time for a few more questions, if there is any left. So I think we can then conclude for the session. Thank you very much. Would be really happy to share a drink with you after. Thank you.